are you kidding me? So I included a line about Newark particularly and specifically
Mm.
because part of the conversation went into also like what Ras Baraka is doing for Newark. Part of the conversation was about the school system because the state of New Jersey had taken over Newark schools. They were in charge of Newark schools for like 20 years. There was this big fight. Ras Baraka wrestled back control of the Newark schools back from the state of New Jersey. And let's see, like I gave a click from the US education thing. Let's take a look at how the Newark schools are faring.
What happened
Oh,
here?
I don't know what you click on.
I didn't click on anything. This just popped up automatically. Okay.
There we go. So scroll down real quick. So this is Newark Public Schools.
And just before I forget, two things related to the last thing you were saying about the Democrats. Glenn Ford used to say that the Democratic Party is where radical movements go to die. And then I just watched the Millennials Are Killing Capitalism discussion with Dylan Rodriguez, which I highly recommend, and about counterinsurgency. And Jared Ware said that the Democratic Party is like something like it's the greatest counterinsurgency mechanism the state has to
100%.
deflect potential radicalism. So I thought that was a good line. But
Yeah.
yeah,
All
okay.
right. So keep scrolling because you're gonna get to test scores.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the number for the percentage of high school college readiness.
Wait,
Look at
percentage of
you see that
15.
15.9.
Wow.
Look at the graduation rate. You got
So
almost a fifth of your high school population now graduating from high school.
and only 15% are considered ready for college.
Right. And then scroll down because you're gonna see the little chart on their testing. You see it right there? Look at who's proficient. Look at the numbers for who's proficient in Newark.
You
But
talking about this one here?
yeah, that is the percentage of students who are marked proficient by state testing. 17%.
35% high schoolers in Newark are considered proficient
In
in
reading.
reading. Which, and by the way, proficient is itself pretty basic. Wow.
So
Wow.
what are we bragging about exactly? Like I don't
Wow.
understand and they have a budget. You see that budget? 1.26. They get almost 1.3 billion
Damn.
for schools. And look at how the students are doing. And then on that
Wow.
line, on that line also, because this is it's just infuriating. Right next to it, the chalk beat article. This is how the budget,
Oh,
where they're
oh, oh.
spending money, where they're going to spend their money that they're getting. And they are almost $11 million to charter schools.
Yeah. 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 That's why my homeboy, man, I let this dude to death, man. But he did a book on charter schools, had a picture of him handing it to Michelle Obama. And I was like, my man. And but the point is they support all that stuff.
Right.
Like Democrats, the elite support all that stuff. Uh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So it's
Newark
just,
School Board. I'm sorry.
so
Yeah,
no, go
approves
ahead. Go ahead.
1.3. Newark School Board approves 1.3 billion budget with increases for teaching positions in education, ed tech. What is that? Educational technology.
They're gonna give Chromebooks to all the
Oh,
students
I
in certain
see.
grade levels. But if you scroll down a little bit under the picture, it gives the highlight. So it's where it says the Newark Board of Education approved the 1.3 billion 23-24 budget on Wednesday, includes an increase in funding to expand teaching positions as well as an
Mm,
increase in payments to charter schools.
mm, mm, mm. So, oh right, they're the Chromebooks.
So it's just, you know, you have Ras Baraka on. You wax poetic about sitting with him at this rehearsal dinner because he's going to be reading poetry at NJPAC.
Mm.
You go on about, Biden's better than Trump. You ignore genocide because that's not important enough to be concerned with when you're picking who you're going to support in an election. And then you go on about how Ross Baraka was able to take the schools back, but you don't even point out once that the schools are failing the students, that you're replacing a school building with a police training center, that like what is happening right now. And this is your independent news. Like, this is your independent radio station that is not supported by sponsorships in that sense.
But 870,000 for travel expenses. Okay, this is the line I was looking for. So the charter payments will rise by over 11 million. Charter school payments make up the district's second largest expenditure at $3.8 million. Dang.
All of that money into charter schools
annually.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. So that oh man,
right.
Yeah, I haven't ever really looked at the numbers like that. That's
wild.
That's a lot of money.
So then the other thing, which is the third thing on that row that they talked about, was housing, right? And we all know that there's a big hustle going on with housing in Newark. It is very much being set up by Ross Baraka and his cronies. Africa, who's part of the New African Baton, there's a whole thing. So let me not even get into all of that. But he got into it with Ross Baraka about the housing and ended up in court for calling it out, right? So this was the thing that I found that I mean. You really have to, like, this man is on the radio saying that their largest issue right now, like, their largest issue around the country is housing and how expensive his housing is. And, we got to get housing together. There's so much houselessness. Read what's happening in Newark, because this is why there's no housing in Newark. And it lays it out very carefully in this article, because there is a definitive thing that is happening in New York with selling of property to venture capitalists. And that's why there's no housing in Newark.
So the headline just is Newark tops U.S. cities for homeowners severely burdened by housing costs. A survey of the nation's largest cities found that Newark tops the list for homeowners who are severely housing cost burdened and spend at least 50% of their income on mortgage payments. And the survey found that Newark ranks nearly as high nationwide for severely burdened renters, meaning that most renters are often spending at least 50% of their income on rent. The survey by Smart Asset based on 2020 census data found that 26.1% of Newark homeowners spend at least half of their income on housing costs, the largest share of severely burdened homeowners among the nation's 150 largest cities. So
wait, before you comment, scroll down just a little bit.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Scroll down a little bit, and then you'll see where it has the links, and it says create or preserve 6,600 affordable units by 2026. And then it says, more recently, a Rutgers report found that Newark's rents and home purchase prices were being driven up partly by increased corporate investment in single and multifamily homes.
So one, I just wanted to say that, again, to highlight what you've said a minute ago about that discussion with Ross Baraka. So he's literally saying, stop. The Democratic Party needs to have people stop focusing on Ukraine and the rest of the international affairs and focus more on all the victories the Democratic Party has provided over the last 4 years to this country, where a more appropriate focus, if the ask is to have people look more closely to home, would be look more closely to home. Go all the way literally to your home. And that's sort of the point I keep asking about the federal judges thing. When you're looking in your home, and when you're looking down your block, and when you're looking at your paycheck, and when you're looking at the precarity of your employment, what the hell? Ultimately, yes, in some cases, few federal judge improvements are better, but where's the real? And then, okay, so that's one. And then here, I have seen a number of stories talk about how the commercial real estate market is collapsing, obviously because of COVID and everybody working from home and all this other kind of stuff. And that's why we're seeing more of what you're showing us here, because they're like, well, we got to get that bread somewhere. That investment money got to go somewhere. And so let's buy up people's homes and rental properties. And then remember what I would like to see. So that would be an interesting comparison. So what does all that Route 40 property down here in Baltimore County look like that Jared Kushner, I think, bought and let dilapidate and turn into slub? What does that look like under Democratic Party presidencies and Democratic funding real estate? Because I feel like what's his name, who got run out of the Clippers stadium, was a funder of the Democratic Party. But in other words, where's the real benefit? So that's wild. That's wild.
Right. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was worth pointing all of this out, and then I'm going to ask you to point out one last thing, because
from that same piece.
So there's.
You want me to pull that back up?
So no. Oh, so there's a link to the Google Drive next to the Israel timestamp on the Ross on WBAI link.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there's when we talk about Ras Baraka, I want everyone to understand that,
you know, the email's about to start coming in.
It's gonna come in, right? So I pulled this up. This is the filing report for Ras Baraka's campaigns, right? You see the date, the last date that he filed anything for his finances in the bottom under the summary data. You see what it says?
2022.
April 2022. So tell me how the people are supposed to understand who is supporting Ras Baraka. Where is his money coming from? He hasn't filed a thing in almost a year. And that report was like a fix for something that he filed earlier. Like,
well, it does seem, I mean, I'm just looking here so we're almost, okay, so it starts off at 4-year intervals, and then there's 2 in 2002, 2 in 2000. It's based on
the next campaign that he would be running is the year that's listed.
So he wouldn't technically be expected to file until 26, right?
No, he's supposed to file every 4 months. Like
every 4 months?
Yes, quarterly. Sorry, every 3 months. Correction.
Quarterly. So going back to 1990.
Yeah. So when you go back, like if you go, and if I send in the link, you have to do the whole search thing. So I just took a picture of it. When you go into his last campaign, there's a filing every 3 months, and it shows every 3 months who donated, all those things. So you can go in and you can see who made a donation, right? If you want to do all the deep digging, right? You can look and you can see who donates and all those things, but you can't see any of that until you file your reporting. So there's no way to know where his money's coming from because he hasn't filed anything.
Wow.
So while he's on the radio, talking about, you can't, don't worry about Israel. It's a one topic thing. Don't, whatever. Meanwhile, you're not even doing the bare minimum of your job, but you're talking about running for governor.
Well, a lot of his job is to tell everybody to vote for Biden.
So it's wild. It's wild. But I just needed people to see it because it's infuriating in my opinion.